Hey guys, how you doing? Gavin from Start Fresh Personal Training, and today's video is going to be about form and trying to prevent overcompensation during exercises. Okay, and I see this all the time in the gym. And the two kind of main exercises that you see it on is overhead shoulder press and any kind of rowing movement. And I'm going to show you now. So our bodies basically are masters of overcompensation. And if you do an exercise and it gets a little bit hard, your body will compensate to overcome the difficulty. So when you're trying to exercise and when you're doing it properly, okay, what you need to do is try to overcome your body's urge to compensate. Because if you're working your back muscles, you don't want to be compensating with your arms too much. Certainly around wrist flexors and stuff, and I'm talking about this sort of thing there. When you're doing shoulder presses and you want to lift above the head, that's if you can obviously do the movement. You want to be working the shoulders, not using your lower back to get the weights up. I'm going to show you all these things in a second. But just be really mindful of when you perform an exercise, think about the muscle that you're supposed to be working. And think about the form and technique, probably more than how many numbers you're doing. So, you might, so an example yesterday, we did some squats in the gym with one of my clients, and she's been doing lots of squats and it's been really, really good. And I made some very, very small tweaks around about compensating, and one of them was bouncing from the bottom up. And what I got to do was pause at the bottom and then use your muscles to come up. And obviously the reps went down. The weight was the same, but the number of reps she could do went down because her body now, so she's now forcing her body to actually do the exercise properly and not relying on her body to compensate for the weight. If that makes sense. So I'm going to go through, in fact I'll go through the three. I'll go through a rowing movement, a shoulder press and a squat. And you guys can practice it, and I'm sure you'll get lots more out of it. What I'll take one thing away from it though, don't worry about if it makes the exercise a little bit harder. Being a little bit harder is good for you. It means that you're now doing it right, and you're going to get better results from it, okay? So stand by, and I'm going to be back in a sec. So I'm going to do this on just a basic rowing movement, okay? So this could be if you're sitting down on the chair and you're rowing towards your body, or even pulling down this way, it's going to be the same thing, okay? So when you, see if I can demonstrate one second, okay? So if you were to grab, I'm going to use this as a bar. So that was a bar. If you grab hold of something, you grab it that way, you can see that your wrist kind of sticks out just a little bit, okay? See it that way, okay? It sticks out that way. And when you hold on to something, you can see if you put it out in front of you, you sort of grab all this way. But a lot of people, when they do an exercise, is try and kink their wrist inwards that way, okay? And that's just if you grab it. So if I urge you, go and grab a pole right now. As you grab it, your hands will grab it naturally. Your fists punch out a little bit, and you grab something in the middle. So think of that with grabbing the handles of a machine when you row. So I'll do it this way. So what you find is that when you row, so if I was to grab the handle, as you can see, there's a bit of a kink that way. But what people tend to do, see if I can do it this way, make it a little bit easier for you, a little bit closer for you. So when I grab it, as you can see that way, you can see a bit of a kink. But what people tend to do, they grab and they pull, okay? So when you row towards the body this way, okay, my wrist should stay the same. It shouldn't really kink. But what you see a lot of people doing is they try and bend it in this way, okay? And the reason that happens is because their bodies try and compensate to pull the weight further back. So ideally with a row, okay, you want to row it back that way, bring it behind your body this way. But when it gets hard and you can't get it far enough behind your body, you kink the wrist, and this moves, look, it moves further forward. So when you kink the wrist, your body's trying to compensate to bring the weight or band back behind your body. But don't worry about it, okay? When you bring it back that way, when you start getting tired and you can only bring it back this far, you're still getting the back contraction. It just means you're getting tired and fatigued, okay? And you're still getting a good back workout. So try not to overcompensate by kinking your wrist inwards, because what's going to happen is you're going to get like a lot of stiffness and pain in your wrist flexors there, okay? And you want more of a neutral grip. So the way to try and do it is to when you grab it in front of you, you see the kink there, and just gently take your wrist out a little bit. If you think about kicking the wrist out a little bit and keeping that pressure on, you start to work the outside of the wrist a little bit, and you keep the form right. And it's something you've got to be conscious of and think about when you're going through it, okay? It's just, don't just jump on it and just pound away. Think about what you're doing and you're going to get better results. So when you bring it back, even when you start to get tired, don't worry about it. Make sure your wrist is out and just keep pulling back as far as you can. Obviously, if the weight's too heavy, reduce the weight until you get the full range of movement. But honestly, it's going to find it a lot easier for you. So the next exercise is going to be an overhead shoulder press. So that's providing you can actually lift things over your head. If you've got short shoulders, it's not an advisable exercise to do. But what you find is when you come and do the overhead shoulder press, keep your core nice and tight. Okay, you need a core to stabilize what you're doing. And as you lift up, you want to come up. Okay, and you might not go as far as you can because a lot of people lack kind of flexibility in their shoulders. So if you can come up this way, that's as far as you're going to go with your core nice and tight. That's as far as you're going to go. All right. So what you find is when people get tired, is that they try and compensate with their lower back. So as you come up, your shoulder's getting tired. So what do? You lift your back that way. And as you can see, as I lift my back up, the weight goes up in the air. So in your mind, you think you're lifting the weight from A to B, but in actual fact, you've taken away the stress of the muscle on your shoulder, and you're starting to use your lower back. So what a lot of people do, they end up with a sore or achy lower back when they do the overhead presses. So what you need to do is lighten the weight up, okay? Keep your core tight and lift it. And when you start getting tired, when you start to feel your back take over and compensate to try and give you the feeling of lifting the weight upwards, then you need to stop, okay? Because otherwise you're going to do some damage to your lower back, and it's not pleasant. So again, think about what you're doing. Think about the muscle you're working. If you're doing an overhead press, you're working the shoulders. You're not working your lower back. You're also working your core to keep it nice and tight and contained. So obviously, you're giving yourself a platform to push from. If your core's all weak and wobbly, okay, you're going to end up bending and shaking. It's not going to be very good for you. So the next exercise, a bit closer, isn't it? Next exercise is going to be a squat. Okay, another really good example of an overcompensation. Alright, so I've got the lower half of my body and my skinny legs, okay? So as you come down into a squat, come this way. You come down, make sure your knees are behind the toes, really important. The camera makes it look a bit fuzzy, okay? As you come down into the squat, pause at the bottom and come straight back up. Come down, pause at the bottom and come straight back up. Because what a lot of people do, they bounce. And when you start bouncing, your ligaments and tendons take over. And when you come down, you bounce and come back up. You're not really using the muscles to engage to lift yourself back up. When you come down, if you pause, then drive through the muscles, then you can obviously work the legs a little bit better. And you're going to avoid the compensation of your ligaments and body just trying to get through the exercise, okay? It's all better to do the exercise properly than it is to let your body get away with cheating you, because that's what's happening. Your body will cheat you in every opportunity. So there's some 3 examples of your body using an overcompensation, and there's hundreds of others as well. I can cover them if you want. If you've got an exercise you want to ask me about, let me know. I'll cover it for you. But they're 3 of the ones I see very, very commonly all the time. So again, grab something. You see a bit of a kink on the outside. That's how you hold it. You roll behind your back. Keep the form nice and straight. Don't overcompensate with your wrist, with your shoulder. Don't let your lower back move the weight upwards. And when you squat, pause at the bottom and use your muscles to come back up. 3 top tips right there. Have fun with it, have a play with it, see how you go. And yes, it's going to be a little bit harder than you normally used to, but hey, that's a good thing. It's not a problem, right? And yeah, guys, start fresh. If you don't make a change today, how will tomorrow be different? Cheers.